figures I reported about are in a statistical report of the Swiss National Bank, which appears only once a year. There are a lot of statistical data about the banking statistics. It's the only statistic where there is a country breakdown. So there you can find how much money people from Lebanon have in Swiss banks, and also how much money Swiss banks have in Lebanon on the other side. So it's the assets and liability statistic. And when I looked at the figures, they were really very interesting. I looked also a year ago in June 20, we got the figures from 2019, and this June the figures from 2020. So already in 2019, the figure jumped up from around $3 billion to more than $1 billion to $4 million. Also, that was surprising, and I mentioned it in a not in a separate story. And now I saw in this June, I saw that the figure went up to $7 billion. So within 2 years, the figure more than doubled. And this while we have seen the reports that Lebanon has restrictions on the capital transfer outside the country. Is much more money from Lebanon and Switzerland than these figures show, because these figures do not include securities which are in custody of a Swiss bank. You know, if a rich person in Lebanon buys shares or bonds and give it to a Swiss bank for custody, then it doesn't show up in the balance sheet. And we have just global figures, what is in these deposits, but we don't have any breakdown by country. So I cannot give you an idea how much assets in form of securities are within Swiss banks. But securities and also gold, of course, it could very well be, but there we don't get any information from the banks and neither from the Swiss National Bank, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Of course, what is interesting in that context of the mutual legal assistance is that we know about the Swiss requests to Lebanon. You have certainly seen it has been leaked, the whole request, and that there was I think it was in press in your country, also in Switzerland, and on the New York Times. So and that's the other side of the medal, let's say. So that we know there we learn from Salome and his accounts in Switzerland with very detailed information. And from my point of view, it will be very interesting to know if Lebanon has answered this request yet or not, because I didn't see anything so far. 2011, Switzerland was one of the countries of the first countries that froze money from Ben Ali and also from the Mubarak clan in Egypt. The problem was that they froze the money, but the procedure was very lengthy. So we still have. Let's give you an example of Egypt. There's still around $300 million from the two sons of the late President Mubarak on Swiss bank accounts, and till now they fought against the confiscation of this money, and they will probably win. The big problem is the confiscation of the money usually depends on the country where it comes from. So in this legal assistance procedure, Switzerland asks Egypt or asks Lebanon, if you give us a decision or a court decision against these people, which says that the money can be confiscated, then Switzerland will act. But in countries like Egypt, where there has been a change of the regime, the interest of going against these people has changed. My fear is that in Lebanon this could be the same. I don't know, but all I've read about your country and about the elite says that it makes it very clear to fight against this elite, because they are different parties, but they all work together in getting or in remaining their positions, especially what finances belong. So when now Switzerland and Lebanon work together on the basis of legal assistance, the money is seized in Switzerland. That's the case with Salome. If Lebanon wants to have back this money, they must open procedures against these peoples too, and have decisions saying that these persons are charged, and that the verdict says this money in Switzerland can be confiscated, and then Switzerland will open the procedure for restitution of this money. That's of course there is a big concern of the Swiss financial community when Switzerland froze this money from Egypt and Tunisia in 2011. A lot of banks were afraid that all the states from the Near East were or rich people from states like Saudi Arabia and Qatar would remove their money from Switzerland, and that would hurt the banks, of course. So there is an interest in the financial community, and the financial community has also a relationship with the government. Switzerland is in such things as following international sanctions is very cautious, because there's an interest, or Switzerland as a state says we want to help these countries where the money comes from. On the other hand, they look also at the financial community and the banks, which are a big contributor to Switzerland's welfare, of course. So there is a real conflict of interest in such cases too.